Alright guys, such coming to you again. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy and Shotzzy giving their perspective on OpTic's performance 1 weekend ago today at DreamHack Dallas Major 4. Shotzzy especially revealing that given the fact that OpTic are a relatively new team, this was a pretty good result with some serious optimism going into the World Championship and the World Cup as well. Shotzzy says though, the search and destroy, that will be the key focus point from now on. Other elements will improve naturally given the fact that they have more time. Maybe the meta will change things as well given the new patch the pros are going to be playing on for the World Championship, but if they can improve their search and destroy, that's when OpTic can be a serious force as far as Shotzzy is concerned. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to start here with a couple of chats that have been happening. Of course, Kremp says his perspective on it was pretty positive over the last few days. We had Drazah here playing with Huke and playing with Mercules as well, so, you know, it's interesting because I think the guys mentioned in the podcast we're about to share on this Friday, they're going to have, scrims really properly back underway for the World Championship. That's when the new patch update's probably going to be in effect. So kind of until then, it's a little bit of a challenge to see the guys, play with challenges and play on the new patch. And they've got to wait a few days, I think, to get everything fully resolved so they can lock in for the World Championship run. But of course, some notable names playing as always. Now, we do also have some notable names here. These are the Lion Man cards for some of the top performers of the event. This is the Miami Heretics cards. And, well, Rancor, what a player, right? I mean, 98 rated of the stage is mega. And like the consistency of the numbers, this is the most impressive thing to me because these numbers are not dissimilar to what HyDra's numbers look like, to be honest, or what Scrap's numbers look like. Okay, Scrap's a bit better, HyDra's a bit better, sure, but those are literally MVP candidates. But what impresses me about HyDra and Scrap typically is that they will have, 1.1s, 1.15s, across all of the modes, right? Like, there's no mode they're really good at, there's no mode they're really bad at. Like, they're just mega consistent every game mode. And the same thing is true for Rancor too. I mean, his first blood rate in search is mega, and his impact across the other game modes has just been stellar as well. So crazy to think, really, that Rancor and Super both spent a good few years down there in Spanish challenges, not really doing much. Or like, they were doing bits, but they just weren't getting noticed or signs. And at the start of the season, I think Rancor was in challenges with, Major Maniacs, Standy, stuff like this. Then he got the option and got the possibility to come into the Heretics, and the rest there is history, right? I mean, ReeAl's also still been, I think, very impressive, but he's just been a bit overshadowed. I mean, Super has a 1.48 in search on the stage. Okay, LAN wasn't quite as strong, but it was still very good. They went 9-3, just their control letting them down a bit, and, the weakest link is Metals, right? And this is the question, really, for Heretics, because right now, they're really good. They can beat one of the top teams in a best of 5. I don't personally see it that they could beat a Thieves or a FaZe in a best of 7 grand finals, or even the World Championship, it'd be a best of 9. That I just don't think is plausible. So, but Heretics have had such a good season, right? I mean, they've played 4 tournaments, they've come top 4 in 3 of them. Like, it's a mega result to make Sunday on that occasion. So I'm not saying that they've got to blow it up, but the question for Heretics is, okay, if you do want to take another step, then Metals is maybe the guy to look at in the off-season to say, okay, could we find an upgrade here? Is it possible? Because Rancor, Super, and ReeAl, they should not be going anywhere. Like, they need to be on the, I wouldn't say the Super Max, but, because of course these guys also speak and comment Spanish. Now, ReeAl speaks good English, so does Rancor. I think Super's isn't bad either. So maybe it's possible. Like, could they bring in somebody that isn't Spanish and comment English? Maybe, but I don't think they want to do that ideally. Like, they'll want to find, and maybe Metals is a perfectly reasonable piece. Not everyone can fry, right? Like, when you've got Rancor and Super taken over, not everyone can drop crazy numbers, but I do think the Metals consistency sometimes does hold them back a little bit. And could they upgrade on, like, pure firepower? If they, I mentioned the other day, brought in Snoopy, of course, also Spanish speaker, maybe, but I don't know, right? I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, they've had a couple of top 3s this season, and the 2 teams that we have at the top of the game right now are 2 of the best teams that have ever been formed in the history of COD. So sometimes it just is what it is, and you're, Tyson Gane, you run into Usain Bolt for a few years, or you're Johan Blake and you run into, okay, that's not really a great example, but you know what I'm saying anyway. Sometimes you just have a great team in an era where you really just can't beat the best team, and sometimes that just is what it is. Now, OpTic, they may also find themselves in this spot, but they'll also be confident that they can take a challenge into the World Championship. Their cards, some sense, maybe not massively dissimilar. Shotzzy had a 79 rated card overall. Like, I think Shotzzy was actually all right this stage. The numbers, okay, they support that. I mean, 79 is not a bad rating by any means necessarily, but he was, by the numbers, the weakest on the team at this stage. The best was Mercury's, who was purple in damage per round in search and kills per 10 in control, which is pretty crazy to think about, actually, given that he's just come in. The hardpoint maybe wasn't quite as strong, and look, the search and destroy for, if you look at the numbers in search, based on like a lot of the figures here, you would probably expect their record to be a bit better in search than it actually was, and that probably is the key difference maker, really. Of course, Mercury's didn't play all the series, he only played 8 of them rather than 9, because Skyz played the first 3-0 against the Surge, and after that, still Mercury's was the standout of the team. So he has a 94 rated, Dashy was a 90 rated, and look, his KD wasn't anything crazy, but he was playing pretty quick, and his impact in control was mega. One of the best control players in the entire league, hands down. And I mean, you can see the numbers here. Like, again, I don't really, like, I know that sometimes it gets skewed because you play one map that's dominant and then you lose a close map. But even then, OpTic went 6 in 3 in control. 6 in 3 is good, but when your team has a 1.3, a 1.25, a 1.1, a 1.1, you'd think you wouldn't be losing one, right? But look, they played some good teams at the major, of course. You're not going to win everything. But as Shotzzy is about to describe, it is maybe the search and destroy where the key focus here lies, because, you know, their respawns have been very good and likely will continue to be. I think Huke deserves, certainly in the respawn modes, the hardpoint especially, he's been really impressive, and he continued that on LAN as well. So this team is definitely trending in the right direction, and these hardpoint and control numbers, that is going to be good enough to get you seriously deep in tournaments, but to win tournaments, that's where search and destroy has to come into play, and that's what we'll see here in a second. The top S&D performance, by the way, for the entire season are as follows. Scrap is, by pure KD, and of course in search KD is rather important, the best S&D player, which is pretty crazy because you wouldn't think of Scrap as, like, you think he's a respawn demon really, but his search this year has been mega. Simp's right there as well with a 1.2. Then you've got TJ, then you've got Beans actually sitting at a 1.13, then Kremp at a 1.12. So, you know, those are your 3 best S&D players in the game according to the numbers. Scrap, Simp and TJHaLy. Some will be surprised, some won't really be. Now, we'll share this podcast clip in a second. Before we get there, just, you know, I know Jake Hell's done this over the last couple of years, asking some sort of AI thing to predict the standings at champs. They've got, or Grok has, FaZe winning from Thieves, Ultra getting 3rd, kind of a home tournament in some respects, Heretics getting 4th, then Surge and OpTic 5th, 6th, Ravens, Boston 7th, 8th. Honestly, on paper, not a bad prediction, but you know, it's got a bit of a dark horse run there for Ultra. Who really knows? But obviously, OpTic fans and Thieves fans and the fans of all the other teams that aren't FaZe will be hoping that this is wrong and their team is going to win the World Championship instead. But I wanted to share a couple of minutes of this because they talk about a few things. This, of course, is a funny clip that Landon points out where Dashy was like, damn, I literally had a different teammate sitting to my right every single event this entire year, and that was, you know, it was Pred at one point, it was Kenny, it was Skyz, that was Mercury's, all has been going on. But the key point I thought was from Shotzzy really saying, look, their head is going to be, you know, focused on the search and destroy. They're confident their respawn will continue to be very impressive. It's the search which is potentially going to carry them, and as Nature famously once said, search and destroy wins championships.
You know what's crazy is, like, looking at it now, it doesn't even look like it was a race, but like in the moment it was like
it was a race.
The show was a race, bro.
That's crazy, yo. I swear, 20 and 21, that shit's fake as fuck, bro. There's no way. 2020, is that like, that's overall? Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. This season is just
this season was a fucking movie. It's actually been a movie, bro.
I mean, you two have been a part of 4 different rosters.
Bro, we had 4 majors in it. We had 4 different rosters on all 4 of them.
Holy
swear to God, all 4 of them. I fist bumped somebody different every fucking major. swear to God, bro. Like,
yo, let's get this shit.
I think I was
get this shit, Caesar.
Yeah, I think I was fucked it up 3 times. It's nice, AG. I mean, Ken or fucking Mason. Fucking Caesar's here now.
Oh my God, man! Wow, that's crazy, bro. It definitely. No, I'm not gonna lie. Having a season like
we
this
made
is
champs.
definitely like.
No. Honestly, like, it's the majors or whatever. It's in the past, but as long as we like made champs, that's all that matters.
No, that's facts. I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I didn't make champs a while, then
I would have actually been fucking.
I would have.
You guys want to see me for a little bit?
I know where you were going for sure.
Oh, I'm fucking gone. Oh yeah, you know exactly where I'm going. Actually, You know exactly where I'm going. I would have got ahead of it. No, but no bullshit. Like, but now at least we get to set our eyes forward. Champs, like our team is gonna lock in. We know, like, we're close, bro.
Nah, yeah, this
close.
prep is a lot different. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, this happens every year. At least, like, the way that I like doing it is, I like making sure every game mode is fucking like top tier. Because that's the thing, dude. Is having like a team with this roster. We've only had this roster for what, like a month or some shit like that.
3
like,
weeks.
Like,
Well,
I don't know.
it's going on the 4th week. Yeah.
it's because like a lot of scenarios that we get into, dude. Like in practice, like you don't get it twisted. We practice like a lot, but like believe it or not, there's some scenarios that you don't even get into until you get to the match, and that might be insane to say, but
It's not.
it's literally just how it is. I'm not even trolling. That's just how COD is. So like learning from these mistakes through matches and shit like is obviously a positive for us. But yeah, just gonna make sure. I feel like our S&D just needs to be insane for us to take it to the next step. That's just me personally, because I feel like our respawns like are good. But yeah, I think our S&Ds need to be just better, in my opinion.
So, of course, this season has been a messy one for OpTic, right? I mean, if you'd have come into the season and told me that there would be 7 different players to play for OpTic this year, I'd be like, what are you talking about, right? Like, presumably you'd have expected them to at least get back to the World Championship with the same team, and if they didn't, then maybe there was, a one-man move, or somebody stepped in for a series or something. Maybe Pred was unwell one day and Huke steps in for a series. Makes sense. Maybe you get 5 players on a year. But to have 7 with Skyz there, and obviously Mercury's is now in and all, this is kind of crazy to think about the fact that Kenny had a 0.84 in that role, Skyz had a 0.88 in that role, Mercury so far has a 1.1. Now, of course, has that affected Dashy's numbers? Yeah, Dashy's KD isn't as good now as it was when they had Kenny and Skyz, but that's very much so to be expected. The key question for many, though, has of course been the search and destroy, because Kenny's search wasn't good, Skyz's search wasn't good, Pred's search wasn't good, but the other guys, it's been fine, right? I mean, Shotzzy's at a 1.07 in search on the year, Huke's basically at a 1, Dashy's just positive as well, and Mercury's has been a bit of a standout. Now look, it's a relatively small sample size, but he does have a 1.2 in search and destroy so far, and if we look at their win-loss on the year, in hardpoint they're 33 and 31, in control they're 19 and 22, and in search they're also marginally negative. Now I've just filtered this by the last couple of stages, so with the Skyz team and the Mercury's team, so beyond all the drama with Pred and Kenny and that horrible 0-18 run, in that period, these are the numbers. So they're marginally positive in hardpoint 14 and 13, in control again marginally positive 9 and 8, in search they've been 10 and 10. So really if you look at the game modes this season, I think it's plausible to suggest that it is their search and destroy that's been holding them back a little bit. I think that series against Thieves will be especially painful because, the dealership, they very much feel like they could have won. Shotzzy definitely made that point. The Hassie was very much winnable as well. But yeah, probably the search and destroy is the difference maker, because OpTic have proven that they can beat the best teams in control. I mean, they played FaZe, they lost 3-1, but they won the control. They smoked them on a Hassie and a 3-0. They played Thieves on a Hassie control, they went up 2-0. They probably should have won that map as far as they're concerned. So that's the big debate right now, that if OpTic can level up the search and destroy, they lost it to FaZe close, they lost it to Thieves close, that is going to be the difference maker, because at the end of the day, if anyone is going to beat either Drazah's team or Ghosty's team, we'll see these guys for a reason in a second, it's going to be an upset, right? It's going to be considered an upset run. And almost always an upset run happens on search and destroy, right? Like, that's just how it goes. You're just not going to beat FaZe or Thieves in 60% of respawns. It's just not going to happen. Maybe you can win half, right? Maybe you can win half against the way those two teams are currently playing. It's the search that you have to be godlike at if you want to win a tournament. Even for a team as talented as OpTic, they've obviously trying to still make progress. That was admitted by Dashy and Shotzzy as well, that it's still kind of early days for this team. They can make improvements. But even then, with the talent they've got, like FaZe and Thieves are, as I say, some of the strongest teams ever formed in the history of COD, let alone the CDL. To beat them largely takes a couple of Game 5 wins and maybe even a Game 9 win of the World Championship. The reason I'm sharing these two numbers is just because on the season, there is some debate as to who should be on the All-Star teams. And, one is thinking that on the second All-Star team, there's going to be a debate for who gets the spot, because, Scrap's going to be and Cellium's are going to be on the main All-Star team, you'd imagine. Then whoever the third third AR is a bit of a question. You can probably debate that. But Drazah and Ghosty are certainly in the conversation, and there's been a bit of a debate based on the numbers as to who should actually get that position and what the voting is going to indicate in due course. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.